After more than 50 years of never setting foot inside a church except for weddings and funerals, I was strongly agnostic. Still, I wanted to learn about my husband's ancestors who were buried in this church's cemetery. I originally came here to talk to the church historian. And I'd come here often, but never saw anybody. But I'd look around and visit the graves and wonder about the people buried there. And then one day, I came here and there were some people milling around. And when they noticed me, I thought I should give them an explanation and maybe find out something. So I went up to this one lady who was very friendly, treated me like I was an old friend. This is the way Southerners are. I asked her if I could talk to a church historian or something about the history of the church. And she said, well, we're busy doing a food distribution for the needy right now, but if you come to church on Sunday, you can meet our church historian. And I said, I don't do church. I'm an agnostic. And she said, that's okay. You could come after church and I'll bring him out and he could meet you. We get out at 12 o'clock and he'd be happy to talk to you. So I said, okay, well, thank you, I'll think about it. And she hands me this loaf of beautiful, warm, homemade bread and says, we'll be happy to see you either way. And I said goodbye, and I walked away with this bread. That was my first meeting. Two weeks later, I decided I was going to come to the church. And I came in, I was nervous, I was tentative, I was scared, but I thought I owed them at least to come and listen to their sermon if I was going to pick their brains. So I did. I came in. I sat in the very last pew nearest to the door. I wanted to be able to make a quick exit if they said something to offend me. Before the minister started, he spotted me and smiled and made me feel welcome with a few kind words.
Place. And to you especially, who I haven't met before, you're very welcome. We're delighted you've come.
Some of the people turned around and smiled at me. I felt nervous, wary, but not afraid. They seemed like nice people. As the service progressed, there was nothing in it to offend or upset me. I liked the Bible verses that were read, and even the sermon was something I could enjoy listening to. This place was not like other churches I had attended in the past. I guess they made it very easy for me to keep coming back. They were always happy to see me, but never made me feel obligated to keep coming back. But increasingly, I wanted to come back. After 2 weeks, there was the Tenebrae service during Thursday of Holy Week.
The night he was betrayed, he gathered with his friends to celebrate the Passover. And taking the bread, he said, he gave thanks for it. And then he said, this is my body, which is broken for you. Do this in remembrance of me. Jesus took the cup, and he said, this cup is the new covenant in my blood. All of you drink of it. For as often as you eat this bread and drink this cup, you do show forth the Lord's death until he comes.
First we had Holy Communion by intinction, and I had never taken Holy Communion this way, so I didn't really know what to do. They passed the bread, and then they passed the cup, and I didn't know you were supposed to dip the bread in the cup, so I panicked and I said, I don't know what to do. And the lady beside me helped me. She was very kind. I felt like, an ignorant child, but they were so gentle and they were so kind. So the kindness I sensed at that table that night was more kindness than I'd ever felt at any table I ever sat at in my whole childhood. When I was very young, my mother got sick and couldn't take care of us, and so I had to go into an orphanage for a while. And it was a place where unwanted children were sent. And though I was wanted, I was there anyway, and I didn't understand why. And the kids there were very cruel. They teased me a lot. They made fun of me because I cried a lot, and because nobody stopped them. I got angry. I got angry at my mother who left me there, and I got angry at God who took my mommy away. And I stayed angry and in a lot of pain throughout my childhood and my adulthood. And every church I went to did nothing to heal or comfort or explain why I had that pain and that anger. So we got through the communion, and then a few Bible verses were read by a few people, and then it was my turn to read my verse. And I was used to reading Bibles verses or anything without any rehearsal or anything. Speaking in front of people never scared me. It was from the book of John, my favorite apostle, the 13th chapter, 34th verse. I stood up and started to read this simple passage. I give you a new commandment, that you love one another. Just as I have loved you, you also should love one another. By this everyone will know that you are my disciples, that you have love for one another. And I'm reading this verse, and I look up, because you always look up when you're reading something to a crowd, and I look up and I see the faces of the people. And what I'm seeing is what I'm saying. These people are talking, I'm talking about love, and they're showing it to me at the same time. And I still can't get through thinking about that moment without breaking down, because it meant so much. Well, I got through it somehow. I choked up, I teared up, and I got through it, and I sat down, and I was so ashamed. I tried to apologize, but somebody came up to me and put their arm around me and comforted me and said, "You don't have to be ashamed because you cried in church. That's the Holy Spirit touching you." And he said he cries a lot in church, and it's okay. And so it was okay. And I got through it. The only good thing that I had in all those years was my husband, the kindest, most patient, most loving man. That was the only good thing I had. And then, after that, somehow I knew that the Holy Spirit had come into me through Bethel. And now I read my Bible every day, and I pray, and I go to church, and I do these things because it gives me joy, because I love it, and I am loved by so many. And the more people that love me, the easier it is for me to love them and find new people to love. Every Sunday, these people have given me that same love the gospel offers to all of us. They gave it because that's what they do. They gave it because the God they worship asked them to do it. And while I'd been feeling that love every Sunday, it was only on that Holy Thursday service that I understood what it was. Unconditional love. Their unconditional love, like the love their God had given them. Now I'm giving it too, and I'm baking bread and distributing it just as they taught me, just as God taught me. And my anger has fallen away. And I give you a new commandment, that you love one another. Just as I have loved you, you also should love one another. By this, everyone will know that you are my disciples, if you have loved one another.